What's up, ladies, gents, and wrestling fans? This is Dominic D'Angelo of SEScoops.com. I'm also of OneTrueSportTV.com, and I am of FourHorsemenNetwork.com. But I am here today with none other than Magnum TA and Greg Gagne. It is straight talk with the boss because Magnum, man, you're the boss. How are you doing?
He is
I'm
the
doing great.
boss.
It's great to hear. It's great to hear. We got both. We've been talking a little bit about booze. We've been talking a little bit about Greg being a wheelman, and we got Greg a little fired up. So I think it should be a good show today.
I think you should start with TA on this and ask him about Apple Crown Royal.
Yeah,
Because if he talks enough about it, maybe we can get him get him to sponsor the program.
get a
Well,
sponsorship.
Come on,
well,
TA, give us
I,
what is it like?
well, somebody sent it to me, told me it was a supplement and it was good for low iron.
Oh,
And yeah, and I didn't even know I had low iron until I tasted it. And I said I must have low iron because I wouldn't enjoy the taste of it if I didn't need it. So so I'm firmly dedicated to getting my iron count up.
oh man, I think I'm
And
an
how do you
Iron
get that
Advocate.
up? With what?
Apple Crown Royale.
With a little Crown Royal apple.
Apple Crown Royal. Let's plug them. Maybe they'll sponsor the program.
I think we should next week. We should all have a handle sitting beside us.
We should all have one in front of us.
Yes, yes.
If y'all want to keep this show peppy, I'll go get one for you.
Oh, there we go.
Have you had one yet today?
No, it's too early. I
Okay.
gotta have the sun go down. I feel like it's sacrilegious. Drink when the sun's still
You're the boozing vampire.
up. Yeah, well, I always was of a mindset. Even when I wrestled, it's funny because I didn't ever think you should be able to celebrate anything unless you had accomplished something, and I didn't figure you'd accomplish something till the sun had gone down, and then you'd done your day's work or your work in the ring, whatever. I was never an afternooner type social drinker, even back in the day when it was second nature. So
I, how often did you wrestle somebody that was a bit under the influence? Was that a common occurrence back in the wild days?
not for me.
Not for you, no.
Me
No,
either.
no. It would be too dangerous to go in the ring with me if you didn't have all your faculties.
Yeah, that's a
If you
great
if
point.
you if you zigged when you were supposed to zag, you may come up missing a body part.
No, I didn't. I wasn't around too many, and I can't remember anybody drinking before they went in the ring. Sometimes a little sip of beer with whatever they'd pop in their mouth.
Sure, yeah, but no, nothing where they're like, oh my god, it's like they can only wrestle well when they're they tipped a few
Why do you
bags.
think Wahoo danced so fast?
See, we didn't even have beer in the dressing room like you guys did. I mean, I had to get
We didn't get
out of
it.
there.
You didn't. No, they always brought a case or two in the locker room, but
Well, I mean, a case or two would only taking care of a couple of us back then,
yeah,
but I mean, we had to get out of the building before we got a cold one. So
No shit. See, I would have guessed it was all back there. You know.
yeah, see, I'm before that party and era, in the buildings came into play.
yeah. That well, the other one was if they weren't drinking, some of the guys like the bennies.
Oh yeah.
There was a few guys that wanted to need that to keep going, but again, there was a moment in life where one of my greatest fears was running out of of liquid entertainment at 30,000 feet in the private plane, knowing you couldn't pull over, which convinced Dusty and I to take a liking to PBR. So we'd buy a case of PBR, and nobody would ask for one. If you had anything else, you were, oh, hey, can I, PBR? Nah, I'll pass.
No, we're good. We're good.
We're good. We're good. So we just put PBR on the plane. We were all cool.
What was the case of beer choice up in the AWA there, Greg? That was usually sitting.
Well,
back there?
we usually had a couple cases of beer in each locker room.
Mhm.
For after your match, you could have them.
Yeah.
But then, like, we had the small plane too. Riding back on that, that was a. They all stopped at the liquor store before they got on that plane, and by the time we got off, we shouldn't have been driving home.
Jeez.
I mean,
What
we
is the
had
brand up there, though, Greg,
oh,
for
we had
beer?
some heavy hitters. I mean, Ray Stevens, he was a party guy.
Oh yeah.
And he could pop him down. He was a great individual to be around, though.
Man.
He had some of the greatest stories.
He really set the tone. He's something that really kind of defined the tone of like the AWA like babyface style, right? Or good balance of it all.
Yeah.
More
Here's
I guess
one
I'm thinking more
story.
of the Crusher.
Here's one story. He used to take, he'd be dead ass serious talking, and they were talking about the first time they got laid.
Yeah.
Right? So it gets to Ray, and Ray says, "I was 6." I went, 6? You got to be kidding! What was it like? I was so drunk I don't remember.
Yeah, that'd be right. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh jeez. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost didn't happen because I didn't want to put my cigar out.
Yeah.
That's it.
He was a dandy. Him and Murdoch and Rhodes. Holy Christ. We had a crew up there.
Man.
Snooker was there at that time.
Oh, yeah, that's some wild times for sure then. Jeez. Well, guys, we're live. Yeah, right? We're live. If you guys have a question, I have a couple starred already, but feel free to use the Super Chat, help out, support the show. We're live on One True Sport X account. We're live on FourHorsemenNetwork.com and live on OneTrueSportTV.com. So feel free to use the Super Chat and support the show. Be sure to check out us in audio form. We came back just recently in audio form, and I posted a super double episode just earlier this afternoon. The last 2 episodes of Gagne and Magnum are up there in a super episode, so you can check that out. And there's a new episode of Arn up there too. You can get those every week moving forward. So be sure to give us 5 stars and get the word out about the audio form of the podcast as well. I did want to kind of start. I took a couple of news notes, but let's start with what happened on Raw. The big takeaway was, hey, Braun Breaker is once again your Intercontinental Champion after he defeated Jey Uso, but not without the help of the new bloodline. I really like this episode of Raw, and the 2-hour aspect is, I think, really setting a new kind of tone to it all, where it's just like, hey, they got to fit stuff in a tighter frame, and it's kind of working. And I think they're evolving a little bit with it. Greg, I just wanted to get your thoughts. Let's get your thoughts on the Braun Breaker becoming the new champ first, and then if you want to elaborate on 2 hours of Raw, you feel free.
Well, I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the best matches I've seen, and I was trying to figure out. I thought going in that Braun would probably get the belt back, but how was it going to happen without hurting his opponent?
Sure.
And with the bloodline getting involved in that thing, it was really well done. I mean, it was spectacular.
Yeah.
And it really keeps a tremendous amount of heat on the family, and it didn't hurt Jey at all.
No.
Yeah, not at all. And Breaker, I mean, the match was solid. I mean, God Almighty, they beat the heck out of each other.
I tell you what, like Braun is just he's on another level. I'll elaborate a little bit more, but I want to get Magnum's thoughts first. Magnum, yeah, what'd you think of that? What'd you think of any big takeaways for you from that match and the title change?
To me, the ending, of course, was the whole deal because it was a great competitive contest to that point. But for Braun to knowingly, it wasn't like, oh, something happened, he didn't see it, and he took advantage of it. I mean, he knew, 100% what had happened, and it was very calculated. And they need to get him in a lane because it's too easy to just kind of float around, not know whether you're supposed to be cheering and booing him, whatever. And it was it was not the manly man thing to do to go take advantage of somebody that somebody had just devastated through no part of yours whatsoever, let alone to win, this, one of the most prestigious titles in the company like that. So to me, it kind of, painted him as a heel, which is great. That's a good lane for him to be in right now. And, and it is good because he needs to stay firm in the mix. I mean, I think that title in that organization carries more clout than the U.S. title.
I agree.
In the old NWA days, of course, it was flipped completely different. U.S. title was the number one contender for the world title, but in their organization, the Intercontinental was always the kind of step two kind of piece, and now with the two world titles, that they've got, it's clear that that's kind of the path.
Right.
So I don't think, I think they got great storylines going over there with the U.S. title. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think there's as heavy of a sentimental feeling about it in that organization as again as it was back in the Crockett days and the NWA.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty wild to think in the aspect that like that is kind of the lone title left out of the NWA days that keeps the lineage and everything like that, because they broke up the world title a couple times and they've merged them and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sure, I don't think this has a pure lineage almost, but maybe it does. Maybe I'm mistaken. It still does. But with the United States title I'm talking about. But yeah, from what you're saying with Braun, he's better in the heel role right now. I think what they did though too that was kind of neat is they teased him a little bit as a baby face, and like his backstage promo, he's like asking where his dogs are at and getting the crowd to bark and stuff. But then at the end too, he has that confrontation with Jacob Fatu, and you hear that crowd just go absolutely nuts for that stare down and stuff like that. And
there's so much money in that kid. I don't even. I mean, I don't know how you can screw that up.
Right.
I mean,
with Fatu?
Yeah, we have Jacob. Yeah. Whatever they do with him, I mean, he needs to get in a single. I mean, be part of the group, whatever. But he's such a standout. He's going to overshadow that whole group in a nanosecond. If they put the juice to him and let him come, his personality and the way he comes across. I mean, he's a 20 on a scale of 1 to 10, and it's not that the other guys don't do a really good job and very intense and do good at what they do. He's just on a completely different plane. I can tell they got a choker chain on him and they haven't let him go. But when they do, I'd love to sprinkle some fairy dust on it and watch it happen.
Yes.
Do you think they'll ever have like an 8-man tag?
Oh yeah, I think that's going to happen at Survivor Series
with Reigns,
yeah, Jay and Jimmy
and
potentially
and The Rock,
Sammy.
And The Rock.
I think it's going to be Sami Zayn. They'll recruit him since he was formerly part of the Bloodline. Yeah, and he's been like the buddies with Jay and stuff like that. So I think we might see him. I think Rock at some point down the line will obviously get involved in some form or fashion. But I could imagine for a War Games, they're going to do like a War Games type match with Survivor Series Bloodline versus Roman and the crew, and I think they'll try to make the most of it that way. I think at the moment, and build.
My thought is they're going to get their Rock Roman Reigns match, wherever it's going to be. I'm not saying WrestleMania because you alluded to the fact he's not available, but
I think. Did you see though? So it was Dave Meltzer who reported that at first. And then Rock said in Instagram comments, "That's bullshit. Don't believe it." So
well, good. I mean, I'm glad to hear that because to me, that would be the only way they can, to me, follow that crazy buildup they had to last year's WrestleMania is to spin it all the way back around and go back to the dance they wanted to start with, but the script be completely flipped, where Roman's the baby face. Rock is a clear heel, which they didn't ever think that was going to happen, and it would go full circle that way.
Right.
And that would be, that'd be huge.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of money in that whole group, boy. No matter how you mix it around.
Absolutely, there is. Absolutely. I even I haven't been the biggest fan of how they've handled the guys like Solo and the Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, because they just seem like cannon fodder in certain ways. But I think them being involved in the mix and kind of things like that, and Solo is kind of supposed to be in the role.
He's getting established there pretty good, I think.
He is, but yeah, I think in a good way too. It's also like they're definitely putting him under the level of like, a Cody Rhodes or Roman Reigns and everything like that. He's kind of being like, he is definitely not up to that scale, which I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing at this moment in time. But it's also like, that's something to kind of be wary of, I think, in certain ways.
Well, what do you think is going to happen over in Saudi Arabia?
Oh man, see, that's always a tough thing to kind of get over. I know they make a lot of money off of that, obviously, but it's like it's almost like a inconvenience to from a storyline perspective because you got to make the value of Gunther and Cody Rhodes fighting over a title that doesn't really mean anything, has no value, has no history behind it, things like that. So you
If
got to,
that belt doesn't have any value, maybe we should steal it.
you know what? I wouldn't be against that. That could be the boss championship actually, if we get a
Yeah.
hold of it. Imagine sitting that behind on your shelf.
I got my belt back there.
You got yours,
You
yeah,
got yours. You don't need all the diamonds and all that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Greg, we'll put it behind you on that windowsill.
Well, I'm in a little townhouse. I've got mine, but it's up on a shelf in the bedroom. You know, with the clothes over it.
I got this fake one I bought, the Razor Ramon themed one. So I bought that one a while ago. So hey, we're. But
I don't know, but that WWE, they're red hot, boy. I tell you, they've got the talent they've got right now, and Jesus, all the girls.
oh
Holy
man,
God Almighty!
mm-hmm.
You
Yeah,
could have
I wanted
you
to
could almost
follow
have
up.
a girls show.
What do you guys think about their utilization of Raquel Rodriguez? She's very like just enforcer role type deal. Do you like her alongside Liv and everything like that? What do you guys think of her being presented
Mm.
to?
I think I mean I told you I mean it's just it's great. It's good television. It is ironic that their competition has got such a similar storyline with within their group that they're
Yeah,
doing the same thing kind
yeah,
of deal, and and maybe they're saying, well, we can do it better or whatever because it doesn't matter. It is what it is. But I like it. I mean, I didn't. You don't realize how big those girls are until you see Michelle Rodriguez, just towering over them, and I mean, there, there's 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 just all kind of money again weaving all in and out of all that
hmm
deal and how they keep keeping things relevant and then mixing in the tag things back and forth. I mean, it's good. It's good they keep Dominic, in the mix and
Oh yeah.
keeping that aspect of it too, because it's just another little twist and turn and things to to play off of. So yeah, honestly, they got their hands full with that whole group because
yeah,
that's an awful lot of talent
Mm-hmm.
you try to utilize well and keep storyline integrity and people's personalities and kind of keep them on a path because it's really hard to keep more than about a half a dozen of them kind of in the mix regularly, which they're doing, but to where people can kind of keep their eye on what the interest is. I mean, everybody's waiting to see if Tiffany's going to flip and split,
Yeah.
cash in on Naya and it's all good. But to your point, they're so deep in talent, even into those NXT girls are like coming like a bunch of gangbusters.
Right.
yeah,
I mean, they've got more depth on the women's side, I think, than has ever been in the history of wrestling.
yeah. Without a
Hundred
doubt.
percent. Hundred
I mean,
percent.
and it doesn't seem like any slowing down. It's like the women, and I know it's not like this because there's tons of guys obviously on the roster, but it seems like the women talent is just keeps like duplicating and popping up. There's more here, there's more there. So it's like, and they're all unique, and they've all got great big old personalities and know how to work the camera, know how to do their thing, and they're not just window dressing anymore. They're all superior performers and athletes. So
Okay.
it's a great day to be a fan. It would be difficult for me as a creative guy to figure out how I feel like I was doing justice to all of them
Yeah.
Right.
because because like you remember what they had their own pay per view one time when nothing but
Evolution. Yeah.
yeah, well they could have their own program now.
Yeah.
I mean, literally with
hmm
with with one guy's match on it and all the women, and still not covered all.
Well, God, when that Rhea hit the ring the other night,
Mm-hmm.
that crowd exploded.
She's a
Oh
star.
damn!
Big
She
time.
is
Yeah,
so solid.
when she snatched Ray in that flipping hold, And
Why
like,
did I know?
snatched him, man. She thought she'd go rip his daggone legs right off.
I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, their stuff just stands up, great. There's not one weak performer in that
No,
group.
no.
No, there isn't. There isn't. I want to ask you guys this too. Magnum, I'll follow up real quick on this one though. So hypothetically, if they did do a women's show, a women's program, a weekly women's program, do you
Hmm.
think it would work? Would it work on a consistent basis overall with the talent that they have? And
If they wrote it right,
mm-hmm.
it could. If you did that where you could really make it episodic and soap opera ish, and with the storylines that played in and week out and programmed from week to week, it could overshadow some other things. I mean, it could be really good because
Yeah,
you would still have males involved in back and forth in storylines, almost as if they're going to and from for other pieces of business for WWE, NXT, whatever. So it wouldn't be just women only in the mix, but the storylines that you could run out of that could just be insane.
yeah,
And and watching the what I consider like the new breed of programming, like on Paramount Plus and Netflix and Prime Video, the things that they're developing that are edgier and more intriguing. They've always kind of gone hand in hand. I mean, everything in wrestling's always kind of found that way to take advantage of
Mhm.
what's the in kind of thing. And I think there's a whole very big old world there. They may not even have thought about capitalizing, or
right.
maybe I'm no, I'm not the only smart guy in the room. There's somebody sitting around going, maybe there's something else here we can be doing, and
Yeah,
mixing them in with the legends. They got all these legends they're putting on contract. Diamond Dallas Page, great, fantastic talker and motivator and trainer. And I mean, I could see Dallas having about 10 of those girls in a class and having it turn into a daggone battle flipping royal, in a nanosecond.
could you imagine him in like the commissioner role of the whole thing? He'll be like, bro.
Well,
That'd be great.
I can imagine, yeah, about anything you can think of. So yeah,
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I love Dallas.
Yeah, he's a
Greg,
great guy.
man, he's so awesome. I so I took DDP Yoga like 12 years ago. I bought the DVDs for it, and I remember I was in Philadelphia and I was working at an ice cream shop, and it was like on my break. I went to the little shop, the bodega that was beside there, to get some food, and I saw I like missed a phone call. I was like, well, who the heck's calling me at this time? And so I checked my voicemail, and it's DDP. He's like, bro, hey, just checking in and seeing if you're doing the DDP yoga. He was like, give me a call back, let me know, bro. It was just crazy, surreal stuff. But yeah, I love Dallas. He's awesome.
He's a good guy. He's a good
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. Greg, I wanted to get your perspective on the aspect that we're talking about, how there's so much depth on the roster and there's so much great talent there and everything like that. Well, I also hear very positive things about the W locker room. RVD was saying how when he was there just for that one night on SmackDown, how there was a great energy, like in the ring and behind the scenes too. And it just felt a lot different than his days at WWE. Well, I want to get your perspective on the aspect that how do you find, if you're a talent and in the term of being a promoter too, on both ends of the side, how do you find that balance of keeping that competitive kind of like, hey, it's a business where I do have to look out for myself to an extent, keeping that team oriented thing going as that more so I guess from the promoter's mind, from the talent's mind. But if you could give a perspective on that, how
Well,
do you find that balance?
it's almost like a football team.
Mm-hmm.
You have to all work together,
Right.
and you're going to have stars, and you're going to have guys that want to be stars or ladies that want to be stars, and they'll eventually get there. But you have to groom them along and bring them all together, and you have to have, some really good people, working in the back, putting all that together, and that's, they all see that they're going to get a chance, and they're all, God, the tag team, the All Americans. What do they call
Oh,
them?
the American Made. American Made.
American made.
Yeah.
They've been getting beat quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
but they still have some momentum.
Right.
And I think they know their position there right now, and eventually they will move them up when they
Right.
think they're ready. And they've done really a good job because it's really tough to keep all the talent happy all the time.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're a main eventer and everybody wants to be in that main event deal. But I think what's changed it more than anything is now they all have contracts.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So it makes it a little easier. When we always wanted to be in the main events, and you always wanted to get there because, the main event people got the bigger part of the payday.
Right.
Yeah. The biggest percentage, and you're always working for that. And, you always had that feeling, well, I can do that. Why don't they let me? Well, there's some people that they're great in the ring, but they can't draw money.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what the WWE has done so good is they've made a lot of talent that can draw money for them.
Right.
And they've got other ones that they bring along nice and slow, and eventually they will move them into that slot. And to keep it happy like that, I mean, they're doing a phenomenal job. I remember, God, you'd always hear guys in the locker room, why am I not there? Why am I not doing that? Why don't they use my ideas? And then finally, when you hear too much of them, you throw them in the main event and it flops. And then that's why.
That's kind of why
you're not up there yet.
That's kind of why.
But they've got a great roster. I mean, shit, the AWA, we only ran with 20 guys.
That's just crazy to think. Too.
What did Crockett? What did you guys run with? 200?
Yeah, I think Gabe said like 250. Was it?
We had enough people to run 3 full towns a night.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And saw all 3 of them out.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
Wow.
But your guys, even though you covered a lot of geography, we were covering a lot of geography in just bukus of towns. It wasn't just the states. It was. We were just a lot more venues.
Yeah.
By having the ability to run that many events, and to your point, you guys were able to program it as such where summers were like, summers for us, the business was never a lull for. See, you live up there in this land of a totally different climate. So when summertime came, you got a population of people that are finally getting outside, doing things, doing all that kind of stuff. And when we were going coast to coast and just everywhere you could imagine, the seasonal thing didn't have anything to do with anything. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, in the summertime, all it meant was we had a lot more outdoor events because of the nice weather. And when kids were out of school, it was even crazier. But yeah, I mean, I've never been part of a mega crew like that until the Crockett days, because it was Florida, Mid-South, all of them, they were basically the same kind of thing. You might have 20, 25 people or so, because you basically have what you could support on a card, where you could put on a card and go make everybody a living, because people weren't going to stay there and weren't making money.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was the deal. And when you got where you're drawing good houses, and even from the main event down, everybody's making good money. I mean, when we were rolling, the guys in the opening matches were 6-figure people.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So it was nobody not making good money.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man.
It was a different philosophy. I mean, once May 1st hit, it was like everything shut down. I mean, you couldn't get people to go into the building. In Minnesota, they want to hit the lakes. We had all the northern tiers. Even California was tough.
Wow.
In that time. So, but we ran, 3 to 4 major cities every week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and they'd fill in during the week once in a while. But in the summertime, Vern gave the guys off except the major cities. So they had, 3 days off a week, so they could spend with their families.
Did they still make decent money?
Well, shit, the top guys were making I'd say 150 to 300.
Okay.
Yeah, if you can work like that, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day. I mean, it's all
Yeah.
about it's a business,
Mm-hmm.
and again, that there's a lot to be said for that time because I remember like I'm sitting here in this chair. I walked in Dusty's office one day. He wasn't there, and I left him a little note on his desk, and we had code names for each other. He was I was Jesse. He was Frank. That's where the James boys came from. We thought
Oh, how about
we
that?
were outlaws. So I left Frank a note, and I said if Jesse doesn't get a little time away from here, he's going to come up missing. I'd worked like 90 days straight without a day off, and
Wow.
working 10, 11 times a week.
Yeah. That's
And
tough.
and you just I don't care how wild and rowdy and crazy you are, that will burn you out.
Hmm.
The just the time it was the traveling. The in the ring stuff was nothing. The in the
Hey,
ring stuff was a joy and that was fun and that's what we all did it for. But even when we got to the airplane days, you still were traveling
yep.
as long as you were back in the days when you were just driving and covering a shorter distance because you would
Mm.
fly somewhere and go to the building back and forth, all this stuff. And so you still felt like you were traveling 8 hours to have that, 30 minutes to an hour of performing and you were just covering greater distances.
Hey,
And it
T, I
was,
never asked you this. Were you ever in on the booking?
yeah, I rode with the booker every day. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I mean, you and
Yeah.
Dusty did the booking then, or?
No, Dusty did it. I mean, he did it all, but I mean, it was collaborative. I mean,
Yeah, that's
Dusty and I would talk. JJ and him would talk. Uh, we would, Flair if he came up with an idea or an angle, or
did it
Paul
include him?
Paul Ellering, if he had some ideas for stuff for the Road Warriors. There was a host of people
Yeah,
around with good minds, and Dusty was always good at listening to things and getting input because there was just too much experience around him not to take advantage of it. It was just
yeah. See, we had Ray Stevens, Bachwinkle, Bobby Heenan, myself from the wrestling side. And we'd put the stuff together and hear from other guys. We'd get input from the other guys in the area at that time,
Right.
and then formulate them and put them together. Take their ideas and try to put them together.
Yeah, yeah. It's
But
definitely a collaborative effort when it comes to
yeah, it
stuff
really
like
is.
that. Yeah.
It's a big one. Now, what are the WWD? What are they? Do they run all the time? Do they have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday? No, wait, you couldn't have Monday off.
So
They have Monday
so
Night
they
Raw.
they they do Raw, and then I think what they do then is they just worry about SmackDown, which takes place Friday. But then they do live events on the weekends. I think
Okay.
and I think so. At least they probably work like 3 times a week or so, maybe when it comes to that certain talent.
Uh-huh.
I would
Yeah.
imagine. Because I know it was a couple weeks ago they were in the UK. Maybe it was last week they were in the UK, and I know Cody and all that crew was over in the UK working those dates and
Mhm.
towns and stuff like that. So I think it's not as labor intensive as it was back in like the Attitude Era
Right.
or the early
Yeah.
2000s, but still like yeah, there's some expectations I'm sure that goes with
Hmm.
the hustle of it all and everything. So, and Magnum, just for clarification too, that when that booking kind of thing going on, that's when you were still active in the ring as well. Like you were
yeah,
kind of having
yeah,
okay,
yeah. I mean,
okay,
because we rode together every day.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, we lived 5 minutes from each other. I picked him up, or he picked me up,
Hmm.
and even if we were just riding to the airport, you
Right.
know, and but usually, like for our syndicated, we did the syndicated shows, and then we did the TBS show, of course, down on that little Peachtree to cab place for all those years. We did those every Saturday morning, but like there was a handful of towns within 100 miles of Charlotte that were kind of earmarked for television, and it'd
Hmm.
be a venue where we could put probably anywhere from 800 to 1,500 people in a maxed out, excited, real energetic atmosphere, like a
Mhm.
Spartanburg, North Carolina. And I
Yeah.
mean, they're hanging from the rafters, and you come out there and raise your hand like you're conducting an orchestra. You don't even have to say anything.
Right.
They were just they were that electric. But we always travel to and from things like that. They were driving by car usually together, and a lot of things were on the fly. It wasn't like back what it turned into with committees and writing things out and everything. I mean, they'd get in there and have a pre-production meeting and change the whole daggone show if they
Yeah.
wanted to, and it wasn't. There was no walkthroughs or nobody get bouncing around the ring, trying to figure out if they flip flop or fly or what are they going to do. It was none of that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you usually didn't even get a chance to talk to who you were working with. You had a referee going back and forth.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
hey,
Right.
hey, you got 5 minutes, you got 4 minutes, you got whatever you got.
Yeah.
You're going over blah blah blah. Do your deal.
Do the whole shindig there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That. Um, Wanted to get your guys' thoughts on something that's kind of interesting. So Adam Cole came back, just made his return to AEW. Uh, he's in a feud with MJF right now and all that stuff. But he did an interview. Shoot, I got the quotes, but I didn't get where it was from. But either way, he was talking. Well, Adam Cole, I think he's a great looking guy, a handsome dude, and good on the mic and everything like that. A big knock against him in a lot of ways is his size and his physique and certain things like that. I think that causes a little bit of you see him up against a bigger dude. It's kind of there's a telling aspect, a distinct difference, if you will. So
MJF's not a big guy.
MJF's not a big guy either. Yeah, yeah.
I
So
wasn't a big guy.
you weren't a big guy either. Yeah.
Next
So
to those guys, you're a big guy.
yeah. Next,
No,
you are a
seriously.
bigger guy.
I mean,
No, you
Really?
are.
you're comparing yourself to back in the day. And back
Yeah.
in the day, if you were under, 200, 225 pounds, you were almost a super flyweight, in
Yeah.
people's mindset because there were so many 300 pounders. But today, if you're, 6 foot tall and 200 pounds, you're a big guy.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, because what is that? He
Adam
can,
is he's not that tall. Like he's like maybe 5'8", 5'9", something maybe.
Who is Cole?
Adam Cole, I think.
Really?
Maybe
That's
that's
all
he's
he
not,
is?
he's not big.
he's not a big guy. But so this is the quote. So he apparently gets a lot of flack online. Obviously, it's another element when you have social media involved and people are chiming in and trolling and disparaging stuff. So this is
Let it
what he
go
said.
right over your head.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's see what. So this is what he says though. People are allowed to say what they want to say. Does it feel good? Not at all. It definitely doesn't. At the same time, if I'm someone who wants to be in the entertainment business and in the public eye, I know it's something I have to expect to deal with in a lot of ways. He says, I know everyone handles it differently. For me, I've gotten to the point where I kind of ignore it or block it out the best I can. I'm focused on making me the best version of me. I'm not trying to get too discouraged with what social media can say. So I think that's a great quote by Adam. But
Great.
kind of wanted to get your guys' perspective on that. Like size, yeah. I just think somebody like Cole, you do see a distinct difference when he's in the ring with somebody. But he's somebody that has such a unique look. Like he's a good-looking dude, like I said, and he's got a good personality. That and Mike, he's great on the microphone. That I think he can almost surpass or overcome those kind of obstacles in certain ways. But I wanted to get your guys' opinion on the aspect of the body identity and everything like that in today's modern wrestling. Magnum, let's start
Maybe
with you.
today's
Oh, go
modern
ahead,
wrestling back in our day. I mean, I got, just like Adam Cole, they were always, oh, you're too small, you can't do this. And then I get in the ring with a guy like Brody,
Yeah.
And Brody wanted me in the ring with him. And I said, I don't want to be there. How am I going to make people believe this?
Yeah.
And we did.
And
And it's all, you got to put it out of your mind, and you can't let what people say about you get to you.
right. Right.
Vern taught me that early. He said, you're going to have a tough time, kid, because, they're going to compare you to me and Vern's kid and all that. And you're not the biggest guy in the world. So you got to make up for it in the ring, in your interviews and in the ring.
Right.
And, he showed us how to, really how to control our opponent if we had to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
we learned submission wrestling from Billy Robinson and Vern, and a lot of other techniques that a lot of guys didn't know, and all you had to do was let them know that you could do something.
Yeah.
And they backed off, no matter how big they were. And that's what he said when we left our camp. All 6 of us: Flair, Brunzell, myself, the Iron Sheik, Bruggers, Patera. You guys don't have to be afraid of anybody.
Nope. There you go.
And I learned that when we went down. I guess I told the story down in Atlanta when we walked into the locker room with Brute Bernard.
Oh, he gave you a hard time about your dad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I just followed him into the other locker room, and I sat down. I said, "Do we have a problem?" Just like that.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and he shook my hand. He said, "No."
There we go.
But, from coming from that camp, people, I guess, knew that we could be pretty raw when we wanted to be.
Right. Right.
So it kind of the light went on for us there that, God, I guess we will be, respected. And you had to earn that respect in the ring, and the only way I could do it was be, show people that I could out wrestle everybody, and the heel would have to cheat. And even with a guy like Brody, he did, because I had a lot of fire, and, fought him, hit him as hard as I could.
Made that believable, that's for sure.
Yeah, but and I think Adam's in that same spot. And again, when you get in that situation, you can't listen to people. Just go in there and earn it. Get those people on your side.
Yeah.
And get them. And sometimes you'd have to, whatever you had to do to get that. If it was selling longer, and you had to do it, and we did it. TA was a bigger guy, so he didn't. I don't think you had any problems like that, did you, TA?
Not like that, no.
No.
But I think what he's alluding to, because he's over. I mean, he's over in big time. He's a star.
Yeah, he is.
So it's not he's not that he's got to try any harder. It's a perception, and it's people, and we're in a different era. I mean, everyone knows they're watching entertainment. That we're not trying to convince somebody, really who's a tough guy anymore. It's who can just be the best entertainer they can be, and AEW has got an alternative art form that's the vision of Tony Khan, and I am 100%. We've bounced around all kind of different ideas of if this, if that, whatever. But regardless of numbers, or regardless of the way Gregor, I might measure, was successful, or what we think is good, or we're comparing it to the WWE programming, which we don't have a real hard problem praising that.
Yeah.
It is his muse and his art form and his thing, and the way he's interpreting what he loves about the business, the way he wants it done. In no way, shape, or form is it like some, the tail's wagging the dog and it's out of control, blah, 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 blah. Very calculated, the things that he does. He does a lot of things for shock value, a lot of things that he can get away with, because of just the culture of today and whatnot, and lean into things that, and being a dad and looking at the world through a different set of lenses. There's lots of things there personally that I don't think are conducive to bringing in a wider variety of people to watch. But you know what? It's not my company, and if he was unhappy with the way things were, he would have changed them a long time ago. He got enough money that if he wanted to hire the greatest minds in wrestling to sit down and change his product, he could do it like that.
Absolutely.
I mean, it wouldn't be a thing. So whatever he's doing is giving him some satisfaction, and he's got pride in it. And and he's got a bunch of guys that I fondly called the land of misfit toys for so long, and I mean that lovingly because I'm glad that the Orange Cassidys and Darby Allens and even Swerve,
Yeah.
have had opportunity to show their art form because they'd all just been stuck in indie land if there wasn't it wasn't that kind of place for them to go because there's not territories anymore. There's not 20 places to go work if you don't like where you're at. So I'm glad that they have that avenue, and I've seen all of them, regardless of what I think of their believability or their credibility or whatever. I've seen all of them do some pretty amazing things, and I realize that some of them lean into doing things that are real different just for that reason because they want to be different.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just like I Ricochet. I watched him work years ago where he worked kind of a straight match, and he could go out there and work a scientific, you know, hold for hold, doesn't have to fly around and sell, do all the traditional things that we cut our teeth on 30 some years ago, but he leans into what he's really good at and what people have come to know him for, and there's just not it's just not the market just for things just as they were, back when. And so
Yeah.
I like those guys standing up for themselves. I hate it they have to defend themselves on social media because the keyboard warriors are, just absolutely brutal. And could you reach through that screen and yank them through by their flipping goozle pipe and headbutt them, which I've wanted to do on more than one occasion. They wouldn't be so tough anymore.
Not at all.
It's like Mike Tyson says, everybody's a tough guy until they get hit in the face.
Yep.
Get hit one time real good, and you find out that, hey, wow, that's not what I thought.
Yeah.
The fact that they can hide behind this, that means they don't have to do anything. They don't have to worry about that stuff.
No, and if they can poke the bear and get your goat, they're laughing about it. They think they've done something funny.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's their sense of validation where they don't have validation in their actual lives. They have to do it over online.
Yeah, no consequences.
Right.
Do we answer that question for you?
I think so. I think you did a very good job. Yeah, I like
Two
Adam
different-
Cole a lot.
yeah.
I think
I agree with Tia. I mean, the style has changed. I mean, when we came in, we were looking back, from TV in the 50s, what the guys are doing, and they're sit in a hold for 8-10 minutes sometimes, trying to fight out and do one little thing and back into it, to it evolved to the time when TA and I were in it. It was a different style, a little faster pace, and now they've grown it, and I'm just ecstatic that they can take the smaller guys and put them in a position where they can make a living too,
right?
Because they got a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of talent, a different style. They're going to do the flips and the flops, but it's a blend of everything there that makes wrestling what it is.
Absolutely, it's and there's a little bit of something for everybody there if you want it to happen, and I think at the moment you can make the argument WWE's doing a better job at that, but
they are, yeah.
It's all like AEW certainly does have its bright points when it's certain storylines and things like that.
Well, you go back to that McIntyre and CM Punk match in the cage. I mean, my God, that was as old school as it gets, but
right.
A little faster pace. But boy, they beat the hell out of each other.
They beat the dog shit out of each other.
They really did.
Holy smokes! Let's take a couple of questions before we head on out here. Eddie Prather, who I still have to give Greg your information. Question for Magnum: when you and Dusty tied Jim Cornette to the back of the pickup truck, was that your payback on Mr. Cornette for when they tarred and feathered you back in Mid-South?
No, and I'm glad no one reminded me of that right before we did that, or it would have been. Because, I really can't take it out on Cornette because it wasn't his idea. Superstar Bill Dundee is the guy that talked me into doing that thing. But Yeah, had I had a flashback of almost suffocating on flying feathers, looking like a 240-pound big bird. Uh, yeah,
Boss
tag.
bird, the boss bird.
Yeah, I watch that back sometimes though, and I laugh. I mean, he wasn't exactly a little petite, dainty thing, and
No.
I picked him up like he was a sack of potatoes, and took him out there and just kind of threw him over the back of the truck. And I look at it now and I go, man, you know, we were so used to doing things with really big guys that if you got somebody that was, under 200 pounds, you felt like grabbed a sack of flour, you know. It's like, but the horrifying story of all that was there was a lasso around his neck because Dusty had thrown the lasso around his neck. I picked him up and Dusty's holding on to the rope.
Wow.
And so the deal was we're going to jump up and we were going to put him down on the ground, jump up in the truck, and Baby Doll was going to tear off. Well, when we jump up in the truck, Dusty still got that rope. That rope's all tangled up around his feet, and he still got that loop. If the boys hadn't come and grabbed that thing off of his neck, he could have been killed.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, when she goosed that truck and Dusty went over, and I looked down at that rope, I said, "Oh my gosh!" Yeah, I mean, he doesn't know how close he came to being done right then.
What did you do? You had a match in the pickup truck?
No, the James boys came in and stomped a mud hole in him and took him outside, and we're gonna lynch him, and we had a lasso around his neck and had it tight, and Dusty had the lasso, I had him. I throw him down on the ground. We both jump up in the truck, and Dusty still got the rope, and Baby Doll was supposed to hit it, and she hit it before anybody gave her the signal, and it was just about not good.
Just about not good. Oh man.
Oh my God.
Oh, wild stuff. Wild stuff. Hey, we got a question for Greg here by Kenneth. Greg, what's your thought on the Wrestle Rock Rumble?
It was an idea. We were going to do the big event in the Dome, and an ad agency there came up with the idea of Wrestle Rock, and then wanted everybody to do these little songs leading into it.
Yeah.
For the time, that's what was going on. But it is what it was.
No harm, no foul. Really, it's memorable and all that kind of stuff, and people still enjoy.
The matches were all good and everything, so it went off all right. We had a good crowd.
Yeah, there you go. Cool. I think that'll do it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to cover real quick though. We'll touch this. We'll close out with this one here.
Well, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask you how many pictures do you get on the internet every day on Instagram? You and your cat.
Me and my cat.
Christ, everyone I flip, you're on there.
I do 2 a day.
And Laura's in the other room. He's back on again. You're becoming a star on Instagram.
No, that's nothing. I'm just posting gym pictures. That's it. Gym pictures and cat pictures.
Do a good job.
Thanks.
We're always looking forward to them.
Oh man. Well,
I see a really good-looking gal, and then I flip to the next one. There you are.
There's me. Boy, what a downgrade that is, huh?
Took me right down.
It's just like, oh boy, what's going on with my algorithm? I'll tell you that much. Eric Tate asks, do you think if AEW did a brand split, it would help AEW a lot? If they split like they did with SmackDown and Raw, do you think there would be some value in maybe maximizing some guys' minutes, so to speak, on AEW? Magnum, what do you think on a brand split for that?
I think you might be able to follow the storylines and get more vested into the characters and the personalities consistently. Yeah. A little bit more. They've got so many people. I mean, they really got enough people to support all the multiple shows. But if it's not systematic, these people are tied to this one, these are tied to that one, these are tied to that one. it's kind of hard to follow the string and figure out where you're going with it. I can't imagine. I can't wrap my head around it because hard enough back in the day. I mean, we were doing a syndicated program, one national program for Saturday morning, a Saturday night show, and then we did a Sunday night show that was like a recap and tape matches, and that was just and they were the only one that was 2 hours was the TBS show. All
Right.
the other things were an hour. So I don't know. I don't know how you make your continuity make sense in really how you and maybe that's why they don't have just like that mega star standout flagship guy. I mean,
Right.
to me, a John Moxley, is really in reality that guy, but he's not weaved in and out of the theme enough throughout everything where you kind of know that this
Yeah.
is his house kind of thing. And they're trying to give everybody, fair time and equal time, I guess, and all that stuff. But you still got to know who your workhorses are, just like the WWE does, and what they're doing with Cody, and whoever's carrying that strap is the face for that snapshot in time.
Right. Right. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, MJF is as good on the mic as anybody I've ever heard.
Right. He is.
I mean,
Yeah.
he can stand out there and do 5 minutes like nobody's business, heel or babyface. He can
Yeah.
go either direction. But I think that's really to me kind of the thing that's still I get why they want people to be diversified in his personalities and say all that stuff. But man, you gotta like one person and be pissed off at the other one and want to see the other one kick the other one's ass. It's
That's
an
it.
age old thing.
That's
I mean,
it.
Yeah.
you can't just be watching a basketball game with two teams you don't give a flying flip about either one of them,
No.
and think people are gonna, be excited about it. It's just, if you didn't have the Michael Jordans and the Larry Birds back in the day, and Magic Johnsons and the personalities and the people that were leading their crew, and wanting to see one stomp a mud hole in the other, and one overcome, and cocky people, and just all that stuff. That there's a reason that basic psychology still plays out today. We're all that gray area stuff doesn't necessarily bring out passion.
It doesn't. It definitely doesn't.
I,
Greg. Yeah.
well, overexposure.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm maybe now because there's so many channels that won't get overexposed, but
Mm-hmm.
The WWE I think is pushing a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know NXT. I mean, it's almost you can watch wrestling every day of the week pretty soon.
Yeah.
And
Basically.
you're gonna burn it out.
Yeah. Basically. Mm-hmm.
And you have to have a lot of talent, different talent, to keep all those different programs going. So how many can you do and still give a product that the people are going to like before they get burned out on it, see it too much?
It's a great
I
point.
don't know. It's so different now because there's so many different channels. But again, how much TV can you watch and how much wrestling can you watch?
Exactly. You balance life out.
Yeah.
Like, you're watching Perfect Couples too. It's like you can't watch everything.
Can't watch everything.
I watch football on Sundays.
Yeah.
It's hard to balance all that.
Well, even football. I mean, they've kind of overexposed themselves now.
2 Monday night games.
You
That's
get Monday
ridiculous.
night, you get Thursday night, you get Saturday, you get Sunday.
Yeah.
I
love football.
And you get college football in between there. They're running all week now too.
Right.
Yeah, Yellowstone and Reacher come back on. I'm not watching any of that crap.
That's it. See, and that's storytelling. That's good versus evil, all that kind of stuff.
The best thing to do is just get a bottle of that Apple Crown Royal, sit there and drink that. And you don't care what you're watching.
Oh my
Well,
gosh,
I did
that's
for
it.
about the first 20, 30 minutes. And then it really
That's it.
Then after a few of those, enough sips of those, then you feel you're in it.
Keyboard. Then I'll start looking for those keyboard warriors.
Yeah, that's it. Like, you know what? I'm going to settle a score here. That's what's going down. Well, I think we settled some scores today. guys, if you like what you're seeing, be sure to tune in to the fourhorsemanetwork.com. We go live every Thursday, typically at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But you guys can catch this every week. I'm going to post this. I'm going to make a consistent to post it every Friday. Every Friday morning, the new episode of Straight Talk with the Boss will be on your audio feed of choice. So be on the lookout for that. This new episode will drop tomorrow. So be sure to type in Four Horsemen Network on your podcast platform of choice. And be sure to like, share, subscribe. Give us 5 stars for if you like what you're hearing. Hey, you might like me on it. Greg might like me on Instagram, but you can follow Greg on Instagram at gagne.greg. You can follow Magnum at Magnum_TA on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram too at dom.d'angelo if you do.
For some reason, I'm getting all the young girls.
Oh, geez.
I don't know why.
You're a ladies' man. That's what it is.
I tell them how good they look. Give them a little note. Boy, they get back on.
There you go. Wow. How about that? So
I got them dancing for me.
Keep it all busy. Keep it all busy. Guys, also, keep your eyes peeled for stuff regarding Powertown. You can scan that QR code that boom right there, or you can go to powertownwrestling.com and be on the lookout for some stuff. Magnum, is there anything else you want to kind of tease or reveal?
What do you got going at Powertown, TA?
Yeah.
Can't tell you.
There we go.
But to your point, a little bird told me that before Thanksgiving, there's going to be a unique opportunity for folks that they thought they missed out on. I'll just put it like that.
How about that?
Perfect.
How about that?
Good.
Just in time for Turkey Day, everybody. So there
you
go.
We got Powertown. We got merchandise. We got all kinds of stuff going, don't we?
We got Apple Crown Royale. We're partying down.
Yeah. We're going to get them as a sponsor for TA.
But we just might sponsor them anyways. Why the heck not?
I'll give them a call.
Give them a call.
I'm sponsoring them. What are you talking about? I sponsor them.
Yeah,
you already got it.
I'm gonna go buy me some, I think. Yes, be sure to give us any feedback. Also, hey, check out some merchandise. We got the merchandise. Let me scroll down here. We got the hoodies happening. There's the Magnum TA, the old school logo, zip hoodie. Maybe carry a baseball bat around, intimidate your neighbors, and get a mug while you're at it.
That's a serious look, man. I wouldn't want to run into him.
Pour a little crown in your Magnum TA mug.
Pour a crown in your Magnum TA mug. Scan that QR code. You can buy those merchandise right now. And you can also get the Greg Gagne zip hoodie, the high flyer hoodie. And as well, you can drink a little bit of Crown Royale, that Greg Gagne, Heart of a Champion.
I'm gonna get on it real quick.
That's it. That's it. Plenty of other merch that you can check out too with Magnum and Nikita. You just go to onetruesport.com. All the merchandise is there. You can dress like a champion. Look at that. So
you need a Gagne and the Weasel suit match with Heenan.
Oh, that's a great one. We should make a shirt. I wonder if we could get away with you doing Heenan on there.
Yeah,
we could do Gagne versus the Weasel at least. Huh?
Yeah, we got it.
We could do that.
Get that.
So guys, thanks for tuning in this week. Be sure to tune in next week. Any questions, feedback, always feel free to hit us up on Four Horsemen Network. Just hit me up at Dominic D'Angelo on Twitter. Any feedback you have. So leave these guys alone, though. Help me out. All right. We'll see you guys next time here on Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA, and Greg Gagne.